Everyone, welcome to the D4 panel for how to find and work with tabletop media. I am your moderator, Shu. Everyone calls me Shu. My real name's Dan, but everyone calls me Shu. I'm from Going Analog, and I'm here to moderate this panel. We have a bunch of great guests and panelists with us today. I'm going to go around the table and let them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit more about what they do. And then we're going to get into some questions about how best to work with them, some ways not to work with them, and the state of media and so on in the tabletop industry. So let's start with you, Lincoln.
Hi, I'm Lincoln Damerst. I'm from the director of media for BoardGameGeek, and Nikki and I run the game night show on our BoardGameGeek YouTube channel, and I also develop new shows for BGG on our YouTube channel. And this last year has been rough. We haven't been able to do as much as we wanted.
Yep, it's been a rough year. And how about you, Kira?
Hi, I'm Kira Peavley. I run a marketing agency for board game publishers called Off Duty Ninja, or ODN. And sometimes I make appearances on a channel called MVM, doing some board game media as well.
Welcome. And then Mandi.
Hello, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. I'm Mandi Hutchinson, and you probably know me mostly from The Dice Tower, the sultry tones of myself and Miss Suzanne Sheldon every second week. I also have my own YouTube channel, To Die For Games, and I also share a Twitch channel with Suzanne Sheldon called Salt and Sass Games. So we do some video content, all sorts of fun stuff.
All right. And then Monique.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monique, and I run a board gaming YouTube channel with my partner, Naveen, called Before You Play, where we feature primarily full two-player playthroughs of games with an emphasis on teaching. And we've also recently started contributing gameplays to Watch It Played.
All right. So lots and lots of different experiences here, lots of different media outlets. So first, I'd like to talk about just in general, what is the best way for game publishers to reach out, like large or small, right? Like there's lots of ways to contact people, DMs, messages, emails, and so on. But what's a good way for publishers to reach you, Mandi?
Email. I do get a lot of publishers that try to reach me through social media, which is, I'm always on social media, so it would make sense that I check that often. The problem is I get a lot of messages, so I don't ever want to miss it. So an email, and I do enjoy when it is addressed to me personally. It means maybe we've had a conversation, we have a relationship, versus a, hi, can you review, insert game here? Do you know what I mean? Make it a little personal. And if you don't know me, hey, just hit me up and we'll have a conversation. So email for me is the best way to get a hold of me.
Monique, you are nodding there. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, big time, hands down, everything you just said. So for us, we have like a pretty much an only email policy because we get message from a lot of different avenues, and our email is set up with folders where it's like, well, I can categorize this email as that. And so even if we get messaged on like Twitter or something, we'll kindly just ask them to please just send us an email so that we can make sure that your messages don't get lost. Exactly. And personalization is really, really a really good thing, definitely. So.
Yeah. How about you, Lincoln?
Absolutely, email. I get messages from all the social media, and I can never find a conversation again. I'm like, who sent that to me? I mean, where did they send that to me at? And I find conversations months later. I'm like, how did I not get a notification for this? So email is absolutely the best way to do it. You can always reach out on social media. And if I get back to you, I tell you my email address to like continue the conversation. But agreed, it's nice if it's personal, but I know quite often we haven't met, you know what I mean? And I understand that too, especially in the last year. There's been a lot of new people doing stuff, and we haven't had an opportunity to meet yet, hopefully in the next year we'll get that.
But it's nice if the publisher, say, knows your outlet, right? Or knows your show, even if it's not personal, like one-to-one, I know you, but they know the show. So how about for you, Kira? You're on the other side of this, and you're probably doing a lot of the pitching to media. What is an effective way that you've seen as far as reaching out to media outlets?
Well, it really depends on the media outlet. So, from this side, the media outlet letting you know the best way to contact them when you're on their channel is where I would recommend everyone look first. They'll always tell you what their preferred method is typically. And, I totally agree. If you don't take the time to get to know who you're sending it to, how do you know that the game is a fit for them? It gives a little bit of a personal first step, a handshake, if you will, even in this digital world, in order to start that new relationship and make sure that you're connecting with the right person for the right game.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now when you are connecting, right, publishers to media, sometimes you're getting a pitch. Sometimes it's just a simple, hey, I have this game, I want some coverage. But have you seen some creative pitches, or maybe the opposite of like pitches that you can tell like, okay, they don't know what they're doing, or they don't understand what we do at all? Anything along those lines? Like Mandi, I think you mentioned that you've seen some bad pitches before, or some bad kind of interactions with publishers before.
I've had, so anybody who follows me on social media, I'm very vocal about things I like, things I don't like. I generally will get a lot of emails, and you can tell they're just general emails that have been thrown out there for party games or games about politics that are supposed to be funny. If you follow me on social media, you'll know those are not the type of games that I will generally support, because, you know, they could be offensive, or there are other reasons why it's just not for me. But if you took the time to actually see what I do and what I talk about, you would know that. So I've definitely had a few people come to me, try to pitch certain things to me, and then I have to kind of say, are you familiar with my work? Have you been on social media with me? Have we chatted? And then I kind of say, I'm gonna get you just to take a look, see what I do. And 99% of the time, they don't come back. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but we're just not a match.
Mm-hmm. And Monique, like for your outlet, you know, you like 2-player games, and you intervene like more hardcore games as well. Or do you get the same thing? Do you get pitches for games that are like wildly out of your wheelhouse, or do you like to hear them all?
We get pitched all the time, and a lot of times it's like hi, or it'll say before you play, and then it'll be like a 5-player game, or it'll be just like a really non-family friendly game, because we typically try to keep it like family friendly on our channel as well. You know, just like really not good themes, or just like what Mandi was saying, just like not I don't know, not in tune with society, I guess, at large.
Right.
So that happens quite a bit, actually. And it's a shame, because we don't want to waste, you know, each other's time, kind of thing. And I don't want to not respond to them either. So it would be better if they kind of took a look at your content first.
Right.
How often do you guys get the email that says, hi, I watch your channel, will you review my game?
I know my favorite is, hi, to Die For Games, or hi, Dice Tower. And I'm like,
yes.
It doesn't, but there's no other information, no name of the game, no.
You just use the one word, which we don't do. We don't review, right? So we're not a review channel. So I'm like, do they know what we do exactly, or is it just a blind reach, which is fine. I understand that as well, you know.
You must get a lot of those, I imagine, Lincoln, because you're BoardGameGeek, and BoardGameGeek is everything, right? So everything board games.
I definitely get reached out through standard. People find my email. We also have a couple of general email type things that they can mail. And then there's a general email that is processed by some other folks, and then they forward those emails to me. So I actually do have quite a bit of stuff, and a lot of them are certainly not for our show. And I'll just give them since we offer, you know, products, we have our in focus videos and our how to play videos. I say, well, here's what we do, particularly because of Kickstarters. We don't generally do Kickstarter stuff. We've done a few things occasionally, but it's challenging for us because of the game being completely finished and an actual rule book and things like that, which make it challenging. And we don't really want to have a representative video that isn't accurate. And so that will always, I say, here's things we do offer that you can do. And then, you know, of course, we have all the marketing that BGG offers. So I'm a little bit fortunate in that I have avenues for people to maybe take, but at the same time, I have like a standard boilerplate email that has all the stuff that general, and then I kind of tailor it for what they're inquiring about. Right. But definitely a lot of emails. Mm-hmm. I'm very good on my inbox, and I have generally no more than 25, but it's still more, there's always something to deal with. You know, everybody's pretty impressed that, because like my BGG email box is down to 0 right now, because I really tried to work with 0 inbox and then just have it marked as unread when I want to get back to something, right? So that's my method there.
Yeah, sounds like my day job, actually.
Yes, right.
It is my day job.
All right. Well, So I'm a content creator too, and so I can definitely empathize with everything that was just said by Kira. Like from your end, this must sound like a lot of work, right? Like personalization, making sure that you're understanding the outlets and making sure you understand what they do like and what's in their wheelhouse. Like, how do you manage all this from your side?
It's really not a lot of work. It just is time, right? So you're not going to figure out who all of your best content creators are in one day, but you take the time. And then not to mention, even if you don't know everybody, if there's something you can do to just personalize things in general, whether that be with the actual game that you're sending, with the email, everybody gets a lot of things. So standing out is difficult to do. There's a lot of games hitting the market. And so, I do see it from both sides with MVM and with ODN, and it goes both ways. Are you going to grab my attention? Are you going to give me information that's useful? Are you giving me a rule book that I can understand? Are you giving me any visuals that are going to make me excited for the game? When the game gets to me, how is it packaged? Did I know if it was coming? Is it a surprise? Is it a happy surprise? All those things are going to matter in the end, I think, on both sides, what I'm getting and what I'm sending.
And Kira, you do a wonderful job, by the way.
She does.
I always love your email. Hey,
She
Mandy,
does.
how's it going? There's this game. I think you're going to really like it. And you know what? 99% of the time, I do. So I appreciate the time that you take to send those emails to myself and to Suzanne.
Thank you. That's great to hear.
Kira, is it tougher when you're representing multiple publishers, and because now you're not just one publisher, right? You're like representing multiple publishers. So does that get tough in terms of like, well, okay, now I have to manage communications from different places to different places. And so that work seems like, from my perspective, must compound a lot.
Absolutely. And, I'm very lucky to have, while I started doing this on my own, I have a wonderful team that supports all of our clients. And so we kind of divvy things up. So they're account managers, if you will. And so Mandi knows there's a few different people from ODN that are going to contact her. But we do have a unified inbox that we created. So while maybe we are sending a personalized email, it's coming from one place. So we can keep things moving and make sure nobody's getting missed. Those kinds of things have really helped us make sure that we have good communication. And then we keep a database of everyone. And that's one of the things we do. So say somebody else on my team wants to know what Mandi likes, and maybe I'm not available and he's putting together his list for the next game coming out. Well, he can go and say, well, here, put these notes in here about Mandi. And now I know what, she's probably not going to like this one. I wonder who else would. And we can actually kind of filter and sort now and find people. So even if we haven't had that relationship built with one person on the team, they can begin that conversation in a more positive way because of working with somebody else on our team. So we kind of use each other's knowledge, which is good.
That's really interesting. And what would be your advice to, say, a smaller publisher that's not using an agency such as yours, and then it's just like one marketing person, right, trying to handle all this? Maybe they don't have the tools to keep records and kind of make sure they're understanding all their clients perfectly. What would you recommend to a publisher?
I think one of the really great resources, and I think everyone here would back me up, and this is BoardGameGeek. So you get on BoardGameGeek and you go find games that are in the same category as yours and people that are looking for them, and you go see who's got a video up or a written review up about that game. All that stuff, all the content creators like to put their stuff there so you can see who might be a good fit. Do you like the way that they present the games? Is it somebody that seems like they're going to connect with you? And it's a quicker way without having to do as much hunting to parse through all the data.
Okay, sounds good. Lincoln, putting you on the spot, is there a publisher you enjoy working with, and why?
Ooh.
Not just for their games because you like their games, but because they're great to work
There's
on.
actually, well, number one would probably be Pandasaurus and Danny Lowe. She's fantastic. She's very reactive and is good about getting back to you and reaching out for the right type of games. She definitely knows what we do, but there's a lot of them. Game Right is fantastic, and I mean, it's amazing. AEG, they seem to know the right stuff to send to us. And you were mentioning surprises. They're the number one surprise package. Like, oh, what's this? Oh, it's a new game. And 99% of the time, we really like the game. So they're doing a great job to make sure that we're getting games. And Renegade is great with that too. I mean, there's a lot of good. there's a lot of publishers that are figuring out like what's the thing to send. And Renegade also has surprise packages occasionally as well. You're like, oh, okay. Because game night, we actually don't generally ask for the games from publishers unless we're maybe trying to line up something because we'd like to feature it as soon as possible. But most of the time we don't really target new releases. Sometimes we do them, but we generally we're picking what we're excited about. So we generally just handle that game acquisition and stuff ourselves, but we don't see everything. As a matter of fact, most of the games that are recommended for our show are recommended by Aldi because he really pays attention to everything. I just don't have the time to pay attention to all the games that are coming out. And plus he's more of a voracious player. He really, I mean, he's just getting back to having his group together. So I'm real happy for him because it's been a rough year for him. He's been doing lots of solo play, but yeah, there's some great people out there.
How about you, Monique?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like to echo some of the ones that Lincoln mentioned, Pandasaurus has always been the thing that's great about Pandasaurus is they are also press forward, or like they do cater resources so that they make it so that it's easier for you to get the things that you need in order to make your content. And I think that's a really, really admirable thing. But more recently, Floodgate Games, we had a really good interaction with them where just kind of like a personal anecdote. We had something negative happen, kind of racist happen on Twitter, and they went to bat for us. And just something like that, where they sent us an email saying like, oh, we'll say this or that for you on your behalf if you're willing to allow us to. I thought that was a really like down to a human level, just like a really personal thing, you know? So that was a more recent experience for us.
Oh, that's very cool.
Can I jump in? There's one that we haven't mentioned. All the ones that everyone mentioned are amazing. Leader Games is actually one that really stands out, and Ship Theory Games is another. And the reason why I especially point them out is the values that they hold, and they're very vocal about it. And I appreciate that because they align with mine as well. And they also will seek different types of content creators, not just the biggest, but creating that diversity. And I really appreciate that. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. Kira, so kind of switching gears a little bit. So gaming media, right? I've been part of gaming media for over 25 years, but most of it's in the video game side. Board game media is relatively newer compared to video game media. It's kind of really exploded, I think, over the last few years. Have you seen it in its short time in this world? Like, have you seen it evolve? Like, do you feel like it's really different now than it was even a few years ago?
Oh my gosh, yes. I think we can all attest to that. How we were doing our videos only 5 years ago, right? And Kickstarter and board games were really kind of hitting that peak, I guess maybe more like 6 or 7 years ago now. But that beginning of things when we're sitting here, I can think back to Heroes Wanted with Action Phase Games. And I'm using my iPad to record Travis and Nick talking about the different characters in the game. And that was a good video for a board game publisher back then. And we put some little special effects on top of it. It wasn't anything special. And even only 4 or 5 years ago at Colossal, attempting to use Kickstarter's live streaming system, but they make you use a web browser. So you have to figure out how to rig everything in a way that you can show off a board game through Kickstarter. And then where we are today. And I mean, it's funny, of all the people, I was talking to my dad about cameras. And I said, if you look at Rodney, Rodney just got a new camera. You can really tell. So Rodney from Watch It Played, he's always had great cameras. And I know a lot of us go and get whatever Rodney's using. But whatever he just got, I want it. It's gorgeous. And it just goes to show over the years, from the beginning of unboxing videos to where we are now, even with just live streaming being such an everyday thing, it was already getting up to speed and getting rolling in our industry, but COVID really brought that around even more, right? Getting more and more people comfortable with the technology. Suddenly it just changes the landscape. And a lot of content creators that use that as a way to continue connecting with their audience in this time without having to go to conventions and stuff because they were gone. And the quality of those live streams over the years, right? I think we can all attest to we all are learning from each other. And every year, I think you see leaps and bounds progress across the industry, from the smallest new creators to those of us that have been doing it for a while. including our publisher friends out there, really stepping up their game with their content quality over the years, and really showing up against other industries. I would say I think we have had the quickest escalation there personally.
I think those are good points. Lincoln, I'm curious, kind of following up on that, your thoughts. Now, is there a place for that more old school style, guerrilla style content creation that we used to see a long time ago? Or will all this new production and all the new gear and the nice cameras, do you really have to live in that world to be really competitive or to build an audience?
Well, TikTok is the guerrilla one, right? And it's amazingly effective. If you have the persistence of vision to make that work, it's pretty amazing. And it's pretty darned effective, but it does require a tremendous amount of work. I mean, that we've been involved in meetings about it, and the answer is like, if you don't do it regularly, you might as well start a new account, which is just crazy to me. But it's pretty amazing. But production wise, this last year is amazing. We actually, because we were starting to stream the conventions virtually, I reached out to a bunch, including Monique and Naveen, like, do you guys stream live? And do you want to do that? And here's things you need to do. And you could do this and get your Twitch account together and all these things. I did it with a lot of people because it was like, you might as well take advantage of this and lock your name in on Twitch if you think you might do it. But I was giving everyone advice from the most basic level, like just a phone and a laptop, both on Skype, could do a good job. And I helped several publishers get that stuff set up. And it was amazing how quick. And, obviously now that we're all so Zoom savvy, it's very easy to do many types of things now. We see so much more creative stuff going on. It's really great. And that's kind of run and gun in it too. I think that the Zoom stuff is really amazing, and it's pretty darn effective. If you have a decent enough camera and a microphone on your laptop or whatever, or your phone, you can do a great job. And that was our reaching out with people, was the Twitch. I'm sure Mandi had the same kind of thing, where it's like, it was our community. We didn't have, it was Nikki and me together, and that was it. We didn't see anybody for the longest time. Mm-hmm. And it was this has been a strange but interesting year for sure. Last year and a half. Yeah.
Mandi, so you're part of, you do a lot of different things.
Yeah,
right?
I do.
I can't even list them all right now, even though you just said it like 20 minutes ago. But how do you keep your policy straight around what's like paid coverage? Like, what are your policies? Like, how do you keep church and state separate, right? In terms of honest coverage that you want to do, or coverage that is just something that was created by you and done by you, or something that maybe is paid for? Or do you do paid coverage at all?
I do. I do not do paid reviews. So that is the only thing that I don't do. And I'm not here to judge anybody that does. I will do previews and learn to plays and, streams and things like that, but not reviews. That's just my policy. And I think a lot of people fall into that camp. Pricing is a funny one. I have been I've had conversations on panels like this about it, that we need to, as a community, get together and set a standard. So I used to be a makeup artist for a long time, and there was a standard of what you could charge. I had been doing it for a long time, and I was good at it. So my rates were on the higher end, but it was consistent with any other professional makeup artist. So if I went to quote it, it shouldn't be any different than, the person that went before. And I find there's a bit of an open gap in board gaming as to what that is. I think if you asked people, you would get like 6 different prices, or when you're quoting people. So I have a sheet that I've created. These are the prices. I send that out here it is. Take a look at it. These are the things I cover within that. Now I have maybe a little bit more experience than others. I mean, I have editing programs, that I use that maybe some people don't. I do use, video cameras and things like that. Maybe some people don't. So that might alter it, but I'm very open about what I do, and my work is there. So I'm assuming if someone's contacting me, they've seen it and say, hey, I like what you do, and I want you to do that. I have yet to have someone constrain my creativity, so to speak. So I've been maybe very lucky in that, but I mean, I have pink hair, I have a cat on my shirt, and I have lights going on in the background. I think you have an idea of what kind of person I am. I'm a teacher by trade, so people also know that as well. So I do definitely have that education background with a twist of fun. So I've been lucky, been very lucky.
Kira, what do you think about that idea, like more standardization about rates?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've had a number of different creators reach out to me over the years, back when I was on the publishing side with Colossal, you know, I was encouraging people to charge for their content. They do the work. Nobody really understands. It's unless you're a creative, you've never really had somebody say, can you do this on spec before? But that is something graphic designers and illustrators and stuff hear a lot. It's no different in the content world. And you're doing the work. You're putting in this. If somebody's asking you to do it, sure, your payment might be fine as a copy of the game, and that's fine. But as you grow, know your value. And I think having a rate sheet so people understand what you have to offer and what that looks like is good. And, you know, I do believe in some standardization, and I do think that there are criteria, and those are the kinds of things. So content creators who are listening, feel free to contact me and I will happily help you walk through what that looks like, because I do think it's important. And I think having, you know, a resume, if you will, to pop out to people so they know why they would want to work with you. Say if you're new to the scene or they're new to the scene and they're getting to know you for the first time, I think it's a nice communication tool.
Monique, similarly, this is a related question. So we have some mutual friends, and then we're on a Slack channel. My friends and I were on a Slack channel, and we were looking at a Kickstarter. I can't remember which one, and they saw one of your videos, and then they were commenting about how prolific you and Navina become, because they just know you as gamers, like regular gamers, and they're like, man, they're everywhere now. But how do you kind of strike that balance between what a publisher wants you to cover and all the games that you may be sent for coverage versus what you want to cover?
No, that is something that we're still constantly working on. We're fairly new to the industry in general. Like we're not even in our second year. And so, we are coming up, you know, our 2-year anniversary, but just in that amount of time, things have been moving so quickly that we're very much so yes people, I would say. So striking that balance has probably been the hardest thing for us. And a lot of also what Mandi said with trying to figure out rates and stuff, I would love to get that started if you're willing to try to figure out a way to do that. But the answer to that question is recently, you hit a point where it's almost like you're close to burnout, and then you have to reimagine and regroup and think, why are we doing this? Like, what is the purpose of this? And then you just have to start saying, these are the things that we feel passionate about, and this is stuff that we're going to start saying yes to. And all the other stuff, we're just going to have to be a little bit forward about that. Like, that's just kind of what we've been doing for the past couple months now, essentially.
It's always okay to say no. I mean, if you think about it, I know I do this for MVM emails anyways, hey, we're not saying no. So you never know what you're going to get, right? But I can't promise coverage, because we get a lot of stuff, or it may not fit our tastes, or whatever the case might be. And, if that's the case, we'll probably donate the game if we don't end up playing it, but know that going in, right? Like, here is what you need to know about how we look at a game before we decide if we're going to play it, put it on Instagram, whatever the case might be. And I think that's completely fair. Some publishers have the bandwidth to send out games that way, and they want to take that chance, but not every publisher has that many games to offer. So knowing and hearing that no is beneficial. So don't ever be afraid to say no to a game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Lincoln, how do you handle it? Because first you have your specific things that you do at BGG, and then there's also BGG in general. Like, how do games come into BGG? How do they get divvied up? How do you decide what gets covered on your show?
We are the most unorganized. I mean, Eric does his stuff, and he has contacts that reach out to him. And then Game Night has their stuff, and we are trying to organize that a little bit. Scott and I are very into that. Eric's just like, he's always been doing that stuff himself. So he functions that way, and it's fine. He's very organized and plans his stuff, and he doesn't say yes to everything. People know the types of games he's going to do. So there already are some natural division of what they might send to whom. Sometimes you'll be surprised, like something they send to Eric, we're like, why would they send that to Eric? I don't even think he'd ever would look. And and that's the saying no thing. Now, this is stuff obviously just being sent, but saying no is important, because publishers, for what Kira said, publishers don't necessarily have tons of copies to give out. And they may be a large publisher, but they just don't have those copies right now for like the initial rush. So if you say no, it gives them the opportunity to find somebody else to offer it to. And obviously the games that we do, anything that we don't do, and plenty of that we do cover, go to the BGG library afterwards for the conventions. So that, you know, they're at least going to something, and they're going to be have the opportunity to be seen. But still, it's better to reach out for sure. And it's better to say no, you know, if you really don't think you can do it. And we've said no plenty of times because, you know, we don't want to. I mean, I would love to help everybody get exposure to their game, to the games, because that's what game night is all about. It's about, you know, sharing the joy of the games. And it's one reason why we don't charge for that show, because it's like, we just want to have fun playing the games. We don't want to feel any obligation, you know, and we only want to talk about what we're excited about, because I'm not here to criticize, you know, to slag off on a game. It's not nice. There's an audience for every game. I may not be that audience, right? And so.
Can I add to that, actually, just on the topic of saying no? And that's something that we've learned, you know, especially this past like 6 months or so. The thing that's really, really helpful is when publishers will reach out and tell us specifically, like, we're looking for coverage around this specific time. And if they don't give us that, and it's something that we are kind of like in the grounds of interest, we will email them back and ask them, like, look, are you looking for a specific thing? Because if you need something that we cannot fulfill, then we will say no. So that's just something that I felt has been pretty helpful.
Great.
Yeah, we're bad at like making a date. Game night is. So it's like I'm like, hey, you can send it to us, but we can't promise we can make any kind of date, because it's. I mean, if it's months out in advance, then that's my problem and not theirs. But otherwise, it's like we can't promise that we can do anything. But we would like to, you know, if we enjoy it, we'll try to get in there at some point.
And I think if it's okay if I jump in really quickly, I don't do this full time. So I'm a teacher full time, and I do this on my off time. So it's pretty much my second job, actually. Yeah. So I've actually over the years have to say, you know what, games. And I know people kind of say, oh, how come you always are so positive or mostly positive about games? I'm like, yeah, because I don't have the time everybody does. So I have to filter through and go, I think I'm going to like this game. Let me give it a try. Maybe I don't, but I have to parse things out because I just don't have time to play everything.
That's exactly where we started as well. I was full-time, very full-time, and doing this on the side. And we absolutely did not, we wanted to do stuff that we were going to have fun with. So there was no way we could do, and I would never, we had one episode that we weren't mean and angry about the game, but we were trying to fix the game in the discussion. And I'm like, well, this won't be an episode because that's not, you know, that's just not our, you know, it's not our place.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, there are people that's their content, and there's nothing wrong with that. No. But I do think that a lot of us out here doing this, especially in the last couple of years with COVID, we just want to be more positive. And so it's probably why you see less and less of the negative stuff out there lately, just because there's enough negative going on in the world. But you have to have the energy to want to make that content, and not, I don't know about you, but it's harder for me to make that content than for something I like, which why sometimes it sounds like I like everything I talk about when I'm creating. That's why I like Chit Chat, because we can just kind of talk about what we've been playing, and it's a little bit more loose than just, you know, putting together a video that's going to take a lot of time and effort for just me to say, oh, you know, it really wasn't for me.
Yes.
And that's okay. It's okay that it's not for me. It's okay that it is okay for you, right? But why? And I think that's where I come back down to it on the publishing side. You don't have to like the game, but if you're going to write content about it and tell people that, why? Tell me why. We also have why it's wrong for you is why it's right for somebody else.
Right. And it's good to have weigh that out. And I know I do that on the podcast, you know, didn't work for me. However, this type of person or someone who likes this type of game may like this.
We have 4 people often on our show. So not everybody's going to like that game. We generally try to pick the right people to play the game with us, but sometimes we don't know everything that person's taste is, and their taste evolves. We had to shoot one game once and then had to shoot again for a technical reason, and one of the players did not like the game the second play. So that, you know, because we mostly play games fresh, like it's just the way I prefer to do the stuff. But yeah, they didn't like it on the second one. And we had another video that was a conversation about all the other games. It was the SDJ nominations, and that one said he liked it. So it was like, Yeah, I don't know. And they said, what happened there? I'm like, well, we actually shot that game again, and the second time through, we didn't enjoy it. So, and that's fine. As long as it's not overly negative, I have no problem with people dissenting in whether they like the game or not, because it's 4 different people with 4 different tastes for sure.
Honest yet respectful.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I'm really curious because one of the reasons why I've kind of avoided doing board game reviews is I think it's very group dependent, and the group dynamic can influence whether you like it or not. Like, you can have a game that you're really enjoying, but if everyone at the table is down on it, it might make you kind of second guess it or kind of bring you down a little bit, or vice versa. And then there's another headache for me is like saying, well, maybe this game plays better at 2 players or 3 players or 4 players. And it's a lot of different combinations of trying to play it multiple times to really fully evaluate. So as content creators, do you feel like it's sometimes hard to really paint an accurate picture of your feelings for a game, given that there's so many different variables involved there, like more than what I just said, but definitely including some of those. Like, Lincoln, let's start with you, since you do a game night format and it's everyone sitting down at the table playing. Can those things influence how you feel about a game?
Sure. I mean, I don't think we've ever had a really bad experience. We've had some people that you could tell they were visibly not enjoying the game. But we've never really had anything where it was truly bad. Like, that was because the one game that we were trying to fix, we actually enjoyed things about the game, or we wouldn't have been trying to fix it. But it was just not a good entertainment aspect of it. But like Eric is very good about reviewing. When he doesn't review, but he does his overviews, and he plays it in as many different combinations of players and that he can, so that his approach on it's pretty fantastic. Like, he has a lot more experience with solo or 2-play and things like that. And for us, we've been doing 2-play because it's 2 players, because it's the only way we could do anything. But we are very eager to have 4 again, just because it loosens it up and it makes it even more enjoyable. Like, sometimes it's we're very matter of fact, like what it is. We had played a game recently, and Nikki had a terrible game, and we had a game that we actually did play that one once before, and her game was much, much better. And I'm like, well, let's just let it go as it is, because this is truly the way this game can go. It's luck. And so some people were like it was shocking, right? Like, we had that kind of a happen, but it was like, well, this is the nature of this type of game.
Same question to you, Mandy. Like, you're trying to play so many games and all these different variables. How do you decide when it's safe to kind of form an opinion on it? And do you think those other factors really can influence your opinion?
Oh, for sure. So I'm a very feeling type person. So when I play a game, I just know. I'm like, oh, I like this. I haven't decided how or why yet, but I just like, oh, I'm thinking about it. It's so good. You know what I mean? And then I'll play it. I have a group, and I have to shout out to my game groups that I have. You are fantastic, because I literally bring a game here. We're playing this and we play whatever I bring, and we'll play it at different counts, and I get everybody's opinion. How did you feel about it? What did you like about it? And they're very open about this mechanically worked really well. I didn't like the theme here. And we've disagreed on games. We've had games where I'm the only one that likes it, and everybody else is like, I don't like it because, right? We're all different people. So I expect that. I try to play it as many different player counts as I can. I'm not a solo player, although COVID has inched me into that realm a little bit, but that's a whole other genre, I feel, of content. But I do try and play it at a lower player count and a higher player count to give people an idea of how interaction is, because that's a really big thing for people. And I do find that can change alter my decisions a little bit. Something else to note, maybe because I'm a teacher, rule books for me are very important, and player aids. So if I am having a hard time getting through the rule book before I can even play the game, you've now put me in a really bad mindset. And this is where I might have to step away, because if I looked at it from that point, it's already not good. So I feel that is a big one for me that will sometimes influence my mind. So I kind of have to step away, let's parse through the book and try it again. And if it's a bad rule book, I can't tell you if it's a good game or not. And that's not good for you. Right? Because if I have to talk about it, I could barely get through the rule book to play the game. So I don't even know 100% if I got it right.
Yeah, I'm sure we've all gone through this, right? Where you discover later you maybe made a mistake and didn't play a game correctly, right, and that influenced your opinion. Or how many times have that happened and we don't even realize it, right? You just
right.
didn't know that you played the game incorrectly because there's no one there to fix it for you.
And I'll contact them. I have contact designers or publishers after I've played it and I'm like, this is how we played it. I think this isn't right, or I have questions. I will ask them. But I will also in the same breath say, this was not clear in the rule book. And if I'm struggling, how is somebody else going to play this and love it? It could be a great game, but you've now locked the door on that. So that's something else for me. That's a really big factor when I'm about to play games, and it affects my entire group. Ooh, bad rule books. My group's
well,
get
and
very
translations are tough too. We actually did a game recently that was a German game, and we had an English translation, and there was absolutely something in the way the book was written in English that the way you take you approach it. And I talked to the designer, and she was like, yes, it's this. I'm like, well, the rule book doesn't say that in English very clearly. And, it's published already. And that's kind of it's a downer because it comes down to editing, and they're counting on their English editor to get that stuff right. So it's challenging. And it actually, rule books are super important. It affects whether you get nominated for an SDJ, because they will definitely turn down games that have rule book issues. And that's too bad, because there's plenty of fantastic games out there that did not get a nomination, or got nominated and didn't win. Like they felt the nomination was enough because they knew that like the English version of it was better than the German version and things like that.
And you're absolutely right, but because I speak French, so if I know a game was written in French first, I can usually tell, and I will request the French rulebook, and it will often make more sense in French than in English. But not everybody has that luxury. So.
Exactly.
And then Monique, same question to you. I'm just curious because you have Naveen there with you, and you play a lot of two-player games. How do you form your opinions being so close to the person you're always playing games with, who's also forming his own opinions?
That's interesting. That's something that is also kind of evolving the more we do this, but we kind of have like a number limit. We can pretty much formulate our opinion after a set number of plays. If we can't, then we, just like Mandi, we have a specific person who will come over like on a Saturday, and we'll just play all those games that we haven't formulated an opinion yet. And they're really, really good about having that third neutral, brain. And typically I'll try to ask, just because of the way that our relationship works, I will ask Naveen what he thinks about the game first, because if I start talking about my opinion first, I notice that he'll start to take like my opinion. That's just kind of like our relationship. But yeah, so we have a system basically. Long story short.
Got it. Okay, well, one more question for everybody, and then we'll wrap up the panel. So let's talk about one of the happiest things that's happened in recent history, 2020, and the coronavirus and all these things, right? So like with that, the lack of conventions and even the rest of 2021's convention scene looking a little iffy. I know some have announced that they are doing conventions, but there's still, people are up in the air about whether to attend them or not. How do you see the convention scene sort of, how did it impact the way you covered games? And then also, how do you think that's going to change how you cover games moving forward, at least in 2021? Let's start with you, Kira.
Oh, well, number one, we all figured out how to not be in the studio together. So I think, if we can do that, we can not be at a convention together and still have a good time. I do think, it's funny, we were just having this conversation, but like, what do you think's not coming back after, so hugs, handshakes, fist bumps, blowing out candles, those kinds of things, right? Like what might not come back? And it really does make you wonder how that's going to change conventions, because there's a lot of touching of things and close quarters and things like that. And so it'll be really interesting to see how that really changes shows. I do think, the lower capacity, being vaccinated, all of those things, they probably can create some good habits in all of us to remember that. I mean, I don't know about you guys, how many people have heard the term concred?
Oh yeah,
right?
I'm
There's
wearing
a
masks.
reason for that.
I'm wearing masks.
I lose my voice
for that.
every convention.
We shouldn't have to worry about that anymore. We should all just know better going forward now than to, one, show up somewhere when you're not well, two, touch and not wash your hands, and all those different things, these challenges. And I actually think we're going to see less people coming out of shows with concred, because we're all being a little bit smarter about things when we're together.
I hope you're correct. I don't know about that though.
There's a portion of the population who I worry about trying to get in, even if they're not vaccinated, but pretending they are.
They don't want to miss out on anything. Well, the
Yeah.
vaccination part, yes. But I mean, even just people attending things when they're sick. I've been around people when they're sick and you're like, well, I'm going to get it now. I'm just even near this person, you know, they're not even at my table. And so I will likely be wearing masks for a little. I feel that I'm thankful that it has normalized masks. When I've gone to Asia, it was, you know, in Japan, masks. And I was like, this is a great idea. And I'm hoping that people will accept it and you won't be frustrated with you if you're wearing a mask, if they decide not to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many fun masks now. It's just another way to show off our geekiness,
I
right?
can't see, but we got a pile of them that Nikki and I made. Nikki was like, figured it all out and got them all. We'd had some really great masks. So it's been, and we're going to continue to use them. It's been great. Because we didn't get sick at all. Like I haven't been sick since October 2019. I did not get a cold at all. Right. We were nervous because we went all the way up to Gamma and we were nervous that like what's happening here. And that was the following, when we got back was basically when everything shut down and we were like worried. I didn't see anybody but Nikki for 2 weeks after that because I didn't want to be, and I did see my mom because we had Derek here in town and we went and had something to eat, but we were wearing masks and, you know, sanitizing and gloves and everything. So, because we didn't know what was going on, but I'm hoping I hope people understand when people are a little bit more concerned about it and decide to wear masks. And I would encourage people to do it at those events.
Absolutely.
How about you, Monique? How has the convention scene changed for you and what do you hope to see?
Specifically in conventions or how is it related to our content?
Both.
Well, our channel was kind of born during the pandemic, I guess. So it hasn't really affected our channel at all. Like we don't know what true networking is like at a convention yet as a content creator. So that is something that I'm looking forward to, but we are interested in seeing what that is going to be like, just like everybody was mentioning with the no touch and just networking while trying to stay personal while also trying to keep your distance. Like that is a strange balance that we're all going to have to try to figure out, right? So I guess the answer is we're just kind of like openly curious to see what's going to happen.
And how about you, Mandi? You're part of a big network of media folks. Like, how has the convention changes impacted you?
Wow. I mean, I'm used to traveling a lot, and Kira and Lincoln, you know, we see each other all the conventions.
I miss seeing you in person.
Exactly. And that's it. I miss seeing, you know, my friends or people that I would normally see at conventions, or even people who are listeners on the podcast, or, you know, who I chat with when I'm on a live stream. I enjoy meeting those people, and I think we have really positive interactions. On the other side, Suzanne and I rarely played games together online because I'm the only Canadian on the main team. Everybody's American. And Suzanne and I are probably the ones that are farthest apart from each other. She's on the West Coast of the United States. I'm on the East Coast of Canada. And since COVID has happened, we've been playing so much together with my friend Ashley the Shark. Yes, there's a reason why we've nicknamed her that. And we've had our little gatherings online. It's been fantastic. It's the most time we've spent together, not together. And so I think that is really good. Going forward, I do think you're right. I think you will see less people, more precaution. I'm a big proponent of mask wearing. My mom's a nurse, so, you know, every minute you're all mask, the whole bit. So I think it's going to be really important. And I think you will see different procedures for that. With my reviews and stuff, I've been actually putting in reviews. So I've played this game virtually, and yes, it does work very well virtually. Like I never thought I'd have to say that, but I want to encourage people, hey, if this is what has to happen for you, great, you can do this game in this way. So lots of changes. Some are going to be really good. Some are going to be hard for people. And I think you're always going to have that subset who are possibly going to make things a little more difficult for us to get on the right track. But change happens, and we have to work with it and do our best.
Yeah, to your point, you know, we've connected with so many more people online in gaming, and not to mention it's helped publishers and honestly creators that are good at building mods on Tabletop Simulator, BGA, all these different places where you can do this, really have started to shine. Well, not everything is perfect, and I am just really, really bad at Tabletop Simulator. You know, there have been some people that have really done a nice job of making it easier for those of us that are a little clumsy inside that tool. who aren't used to doing that kind of gaming online, and really made it easier for us all to connect during this time and not have the distance be so bad. So while online conventions just don't have the same pageantry and are greatly respected for the effort, I will be excited to see things online, but I love the possibility of all the online versus offline things that we're going to be able to do now going forward. You know, no more snow days though, Mandi.
I know, that's unfortunate. And Dan, I know you said you used to be in video games. I lost touch with the video game world for a very long time. I have to say, since COVID, I got my little Xbox Series X and I'm obsessed. So another thing is
Oculus.
Are you?
Did anybody else get the VR thing?
No, I didn't get that yet. I'm going back in the archives and doing the Halo thing right now. Sorry, I know that's not what we're supposed to talk about, but that's the connections I'm making.
Awesome.
Let's just hang out for another hour, talk video games.
Talk video games.
Do another panel. Well, thanks everyone for your time today. A lot of great points, a lot of great discussions, and we hope that the audience really got something out of this in terms of working with tabletop media. And that's it. That's all the time we have for today. So I want to thank all of my panelists for coming on today, and have a great rest of D4. We'll see you all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.